In the winter of 1987, I began dating Andrew, who happened to live in the city where my adoption took place. He'd often fly me to visit him. It was casual and not very serious, but he took an interest in my search. He'd offer to help sometimes by looking something up at the library or getting me an address or a phone number. During one of my visits to see him, we started talking in earnest about the letter that my first mom had written to the adoption agency and had signed with her real name. What if we were to pay a visit to the adoption agency, after hours? It probably wouldn't be that hard to get in, I said to Andrew. I didn't truly think I would ever be able to follow through with a clandestine plan like that. You're probably right. That day you showed me the agency, I could tell the front door was really thin and it didn't look like it had any kind of difficult locks. I'm sure a flathead screwdriver would do the trick, Andrew said without hesitation or even blinking. Andrew was a college graduate and business professional at a large beverage corporation. I wouldn't have ever thought him the type to readily entertain getting involved in such risky business. Rather than saying all the reasons this could be a very bad idea, I found myself saying, "Let's do it." It truly was as simple as using a flathead screwdriver to pop the locked front door of the adoption agency open. We went in the cover of night with flashlights and even wore the proverbial black clothes, hat, and gloves too. This was the 1980s, a time before security systems, cameras, and parking lot security guards. It was all very surreal and terrifying. The gravity of the risk I was taking was in the forefront of my mind, and I had my heart beating thunderously against my chest. It wasn't difficult to imagine the very real possibility of police showing up and arresting me for stealing my own adoption file, my own unamended birth certificate. The irony hit me as I thought about how adoptees are among the original victims of identity theft due to having their true identity erased, falsified, and expunged. And this practice is legal and accepted by those who had had and have self-interest to do so. As of this writing, only 9 states allow adoptees over 18 or 21 unrestricted access to their sealed birth records. In 1987, the time period of my break-in, there were none. While stealing and breaking into anywhere is normally far outside my principles, in this case, I felt very justified. Once inside the front door, I said, "Okay, now where? Where should we start looking?" I hadn't thought this far ahead. While I'd been inside this agency when I came to talk to one of the workers, I hadn't had the forethought to check out the layout of the office or determine where 25-year-old adoption records might be kept. And then my sight went straight to a closed door right in front of us. I walked to it and opened the unlocked door to a small closet that turned out to contain 2 file cabinets and file boxes with lids on the floor. You don't think that could be the old files, do you? I really couldn't allow myself to think it was going to be this easy. I opened the unlocked top drawer to one of the 5-foot-tall file cabinets and was electrified to be looking at adoption records filed by last names listed as A through H and then by the year of adoption. In the next moment, however, I clearly saw by the date listed that these adoption files in the cabinet were much more present day. While Andrew held the flashlight steady, I turned my attention to the boxes laying on the floor and to the side of the tall file cabinet. They appeared to have writing on them and looked to be labeled in similar ways as the ones in the cabinet. "No way!" I exclaimed. I plunged my gloved hand into the box labeled 1960 through 1965 and plucked out random boxes that appeared to contain films that were each labeled with adoption years and marked with either A through H, I through P, or Q through Z. I had a moment of doubt, thinking, what if I'm at the wrong agency? But I knew logically that wasn't right, because I had talked to the woman from this very agency who had even counseled my birth mother. In the next moment, my hope was restored. I found the microfiche film relating to the year of my brother's adoption, 1962.